Hello everyone, we are back again with our latest video on SQL tutorial Ebikacho by Ebikacho Groups. So basically this video is going to be on constraints in SQL Server and we will check what are constraints and how we use the constraints in SQL. So move on and check what are constraints. So in SQL, constraints are rules enforced on data in a table to ensure data integrity and accuracy. Okay, to ensure the data integrity and accuracy. They restrict the types of data that can be inserted into a table columns, helping maintain the correctness and reliability of the database. Okay, so by using the constants, we can ensure that our database is reliable to us and correct data are inserting into the database. So what are the types of constants in SQL Server? So basically we have these common 6 types of constants in SQL Server, which are default constant, unique key constant, not null constant, check constant, and the primary key constant, and at last foreign key constant. Now move on and discuss each of them one by one. Okay, so what are default constants in SQL Server? So the default constant in SQL Server is used to fill the column with a default value that is defined during the creation of a table if the user does not supply any value while inserting the data. Okay, so it is the default value that is provided by SQL Server and we will declare that value while inserting the data. If you don't provide any value to that particular column, then the default constant will provide the default value that we have provided to it. Okay, so that is default constant enable the SQL Server to insert a default value to a column when the user doesn't specify a value, as we have mentioned. Now second, we have the not null constant in SQL Server. So what it will do, so when we want a column not to accept null value, then we need to apply the not null constant to that column. Okay, so if we don't want that column to contain any null value, then we can apply the not null constant in that particular column. So that means not null constant is used to avoid null values in a column. Okay, so this is clear. Now move on to the next one. So next we have the unique constant in SQL Server. So what it will do, when we want a column or a columns not to accept any duplicate value, then we need to apply the unique constant to that column or columns. So columns also we are referring because we can provide unique constant to multiple columns. Okay, so that means the unique constant is used to avoid duplicate values, but it accepts a single null value in that column. Okay, so basically unique constant will allow you to provide a single null value, only one null value in that particular column, and it will not allow any duplicate value in that particular column. Now move on to the next one. So next we have the check constant in SQL Server. So the check constant in SQL Server is used to enforce domain integrity. Okay, so domain integrity ensures that the value going to store in a column must follow some defined rules such as range, type, and format. So basically check constants are provided to check if a certain condition is getting satisfied while inserting value into that column or not. Okay, now next we have the primary key constant. So the primary key constant in SQL Server is used to uniquely identify each record in a table. That unique constant is also doing, but unique can have one null value also. But primary key doesn't allow any null. So we will discuss later now. So a primary key ensures that all the values in the specified column or combination of columns are unique. So combination of columns that we are telling because we can apply primary key on multiple columns also, that is known as the composite primary key. Okay, now columns defined as a primary key cannot contain null values. So basically null is missing here, so cannot contain null values. And a primary key can be a single column or a combination of multiple columns known as composite key, as we have discussed. So SQL Server automatically creates a unique clustered index on the primary key column, which helps optimize query performance. Okay, so if the unique cluster index is applied on the primary key, so it means the order of the table is defined by the primary key, as unique key constant is used to define the order of a table. Okay, now move on to the next one. So next we have the foreign key constant. So the foreign key constant in SQL Server establishes a relationship between two tables, ensuring referential integrity by linking a column in one table, child table, to a column in another table, parent table. Okay, so basically foreign key is used to create relationship between two tables, and one is referred to as the child table, and to which table it is referring, that referring table is known as the parent table, and the reference table is called the parent table, and the referring table is called the child table. Okay, Now we can impose constraints on a table in two different ways: imposing constraint on column level and imposing constraints on table level. So we have the two methods to apply constraints on a table. While creating the table also we can apply the constraints, and after creating the table we can use the alter table statement to apply the constraint. Now we will move on to SSMS and check how we can apply the constraints in SQL Server. Okay, so basically we will create now one employee table where we have the employee id that will follow the primary key constant, then employee name column that will follow not null constant, and then employee joining date that will follow default constant, and employee email id that will follow unique constant, and employee salary that will check for the salary of employees to be greater than 10,000, and then we have the department id which will follow the foreign key. So basically department table we have already created. I will show you a select star on the department table. Select star from department t department table. Okay, department. Okay, now execute this. So here we have id column and department name column. Okay, so the department id in the employee table that we are going to create must follow these ids. Outside this id if we will provide, that will throw us error of foreign key violation. Okay, now we will check in practical. Now as I have mentioned, there are two methods to apply the constant. So first method we will check now. While creating the table we will apply the constants, and after creating the table how we will apply using alter table statement, that also we will check. Now go open a new query window and create a table with all the constants. So how we will create the table? Now create table, then the table name will be employee, employees, and now we have the to mention the columns. So first of all, what column we are going to mention? Employee id. Okay, so that will be our primary key, employee emp id. So this particular column will follow primary key constant, so you can mention here only primary key. So see how we are going to mention the constants. And then second we have the employee name, it will follow not null constant. So employee name. So here only we will mention that not null. So not null constant we have provided. Now the third column will be our employee joining date. It will follow default constant. So employee joining date. Now data type here is missing. So data type also we need to provide. Varchar 50 we can take for the employee name. Varchar 50. Okay. Then we have the employee and joining date, and it will follow the default constant. So default, for the default constant you need to provide the value which you want in place if someone will not provide the value uh, value. Okay, so default. Now what value we want, we need to mention in the parenthesis. So we will take get date, and here the data type is also missing. date time data type. Okay, and then get date, open and close parenthesis. Now the next column what we have, so after this we have the employee email id. It will follow the unique constant, employee email id, and this will be our varchar 100, and this will follow unique constant, unique constant. Now the next one is the employee salary. That will check for the employee salary to be greater than 100, so greater than 10,000. So check constant. So here we will mention employee salary, emp salary, salary. So this will be integer, and it will follow check constant. So check constant we need to provide the condition, what condition we want. So here you can mention like employee salary, copy, employee salary should be greater equal to 10,000. So any salary below 10,000 it will not accept, as check constant is applied here. Okay, and now we have at the end we have the department id which will be our foreign key and referring the id column from the departments table. Okay, so for the foreign key, there is a point to be noted that parent and child table must be available. Like this table is referring to that table, so referring table is the parent table, and so referring to department table, so referenced table is the parent table, and referring table is the child table. Okay, so in this case, employee is the child table and department is the parent table for foreign key. So here we have the department id, dpt id, dpt id, and this department id will be our foreign key, and foreign key, and it will reference. So you need to mention a reference, re and c, reference, REFERENCE, sorry, refer, REFE, REFERENCE, reference. Why it is not coming? For spelling I'm writing right or not? Refer, REFERENCE, references. Okay, references, then table name, which table it is referencing. So department table, DPART, department table, and then the id column in department table, id column. In parenthesis you need to mention the column which it is referring. Now execute this. So execute the definition, department id must include a data type. So data type is missing here, so integer data type. Okay, now control R. Now execute this. So and there is already a object name employee. So first I have already created one table with employee name. So first we will drop that particular employee table, drop table name. So drop syntax you already know, drop table name. Now drop this, and then we will create, then it will get created. Now execute this. So here command completed successfully. Now select star from the employee, we will do copy, select star from employees table. So currently we don't have any record here available. Now we will insert some record and check the working of each of the constants one by one. So we have already kept the insert script for all of them to check. Okay, now copy this, then move on and open a new query window, then we will check. So here first of all we will insert and check if the default constant it will working or not. So here you can say employees table, we are providing the value for employee id, employee name, employee email id, employee salary, and department id, and not the employee joining date. But we have provided a default constant for employee joining date, which will be our get date. Now execute this. So one row affected. Now execute this. Select star from employees, employees. Now we will get one record inserted. So see, default value we have provided for employee joining date, and it is taking the get date as the default value. Now check for the next one. Default is working fine, this is clear. Now check constant. So check constant, what it will check, if the salary is greater than or equal to 10,000 or not. So here we have provided the salary as 1,000 only, and other records are fine. Now execute this. What we are getting now. So see here the insert statement conflicted with the check constant, ck employee salary, this one. So this is the random name provided by SQL Server, and while we will create the constants by our side at table level after creating the table and then by using the alter statement, at that time we have the flexibility to provide the name of the constants also. So keep this particular thing in mind. Otherwise if we create, if while creating the table we will mention the constants, then SQL Server will provide the constant name according to their means their procedure, and that will be a random name that is not understandable to anyone. So the conflict occurred in database development DB table, this one, and the column employee salary. So employee salary has the problem because it is conflicting with the check constant. Now when we increase the salary to 10,000, then this record will be inserted. Now insert this record. So see one row affected. Now go and check. So here we can check select star from employees. So see, two records are inserted. Now what we have the next we have the primary key we will check. So one as the primary key we have already provided one for Ajay. Now we are providing for Vinod also the same primary key. Now execute this. What error we are getting? So see, violation of primary key constant pk this one, and cannot insert duplicate key in object in dbo employees. The duplicate key value it is providing as 1. So this 1 is the duplicate key. So now we will change it to 3 and then check if the value is getting inserted or not. Now execute this. So one row is affected. Now move on and check. So select star from employees. Now we have the 3 records inserted. See, all the time default is working fine only. We are not providing the default value employee joining date, we are not providing in any of them, but the default constant is working as it is providing the get date each time. Okay, so primary key constant is also verified. Now move on to check other one, which is now not null constant. So we have put the name column employee name as not null, so it will not accept the null value. So here we have inserted the name we have provided as null value, employee name as null. Now check what error it is providing to us. Execute this. So see, cannot insert the value null into column employee name. So this is violating the not null constant. Now if we provide the name here, proper name like Priya, if we provide, so and put it under single quote, we need to mention the varchar. So I by a, then close the quote. Now insert this value. So execute violation of primary key. Okay, so 3, see, primary key is also working. So 3 here we have provided, so here also we need to change it to 4. Now execute this, then check what it is doing. So one row affected. Now go and execute this, select star. What result we are getting? So 4 records are inserted, and joining date is the default constant is working fine. Okay, now check for the different one. Now we will check for the unique constant. So unique constant where we have provided, so unique constant we have provided for the email id. Now here we are providing the Ajay email id to Madhu. Okay, now execute this and check what error we are getting. So when we execute this, see, violation of unique key constant, this unique key constant name that is randomly provided by SQL Server, cannot insert duplicate key into object this one. The duplicate key value is ajay@gmail.com. Now when we change this to madhu@gmail.com, then what value we are getting? Okay, now control R, then execute this, insert this record. Now one row affected. Okay, so unique key constant is also working fine. Now select star one time we will do. So 5 row now now inserted. Okay, and get date is working fine, default constant. Now we will check for the foreign key constant. Now here all of them we have provided the department id which is available in the department table, which is 1, 2 and 3 are available. Now when we provide 4 as the department id, then how it is behaving we will check. Okay, so now 6 here you will mention because 5 records are already there. Now execute this. So see, the insert statement conflict with the foreign key constraint. Okay, the conflict occurred in database development db, table name this one department, and column id. For id column it is not referencing that. So foreign key, so referential integrity is contradicted, and foreign key error we are getting. Now when we change it to 3, like 3 we have, and then execute this. So see, one row affected and foreign key constant is also working fine. Now when we execute and check how it is working, select star. So it is working fine only. So everything is working fine. Now let's take the example how we will provide the constants at the table level. So this is the one way how you will provide the constant, and the second way we will check now. So drop this table and we will recreate this table. Drop table name. Okay, then the employees table we are dropping, and then move the constants from here. Now we will copy this particular statement and do it in a new query tab. So paste it here. Now remove the constants. Primary key I have removed, then not null I have removed, then default constant we have removed, and then unique constant we have removed, and check also remove this one, then foreign key also we will remove. Okay, now we will create this table. Now create table employees, and then the columns. Now at the table level, how we are going to provide the constants? So we need to write the alter table query. Okay, so for providing, first we will provide the primary key constant. So primary key will be alter table, table name, table name employees, add constant, add constant, then the constant name. So primary key, the naming convention is like that. For primary key we will use pk underscore table name, and then the column on which primary key is going to be implemented, so employee id, emp id, and then add constant, name, then which constant we are going to implement, primary key constant, and then on which column, in parenthesis you need to mention the column name, emp id. Okay, now execute this. So cannot define primary key constant on nullable column. So first we need to provide it as a not null. So primary key cannot be applied on a nullable column. So not null, first we need to provide the not null constant. First not null constant. So alter table, table name, alter table, then the table name, alter column, then column name, data type, and then not null. Okay, so id column we need to employee id we are going to put as not null, because we need to apply the primary key constant, and primary key constant will not be applied to a nullable column. Okay, so now execute this. So command completed successfully. Now this particular column is our not null column, means we don't apply not null null value to the employee id column. Now when we execute this, alter table, table name, add constant, then constant name, and then primary key constant, then the column on which we want to apply the primary key. So this will work fine. Execute this, command completed successfully. Now then we will apply the like not null for employee name also. Then same column, alter table, table name, alter column, column name, data type, and then not null. So this time employee name will be our column for not null constant. Okay, now put this, execute this. So command completed successfully. Now what we have, now we have the default constant to employee joining date. Okay, with get date. So how we will do like this? Now for default constant, so I will mention the constant names also here. So primary key, and then we have the not null constant, and then we have the default constant, So default, for default what you need to write, alter table, which table, employees table, alter table, table name, employees, alter table, table name, add, similarly like primary key, add constant, name. So for default constant, the naming convention is like df underscore table name, which is employees, then underscore the column name, like employee joining date. We will copy from here. Now default constant, and add constant, name, then which constant, default constant, default get date, what default value you want to provide, for which column, for the column employee joining date. Okay, now execute this. So command completed successfully. Default constant is also done. Now then next what we have, we have unique constant on email id. So for unique constant, what is the syntax? Unique. Now the unique constant, QUE, unique constant. So unique constant should be on email id column. Okay, now same like other, alter table, then the table name, employees, add constant, add constant, add constant, what constant we want, on which column, add constant, then the constant name, like what is the constant name, unique. For unique we will write uk, unique. Okay, uk underscore the table name, ployes, employees underscore the column name. So employee id will be our column for unique constant. Then what kind of constant, unique, 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 and in parenthesis we need to mention the column name on which we are applying this unique constant. Now execute this. So this is working fine. Okay, now next what we have, next we have the check constant, check constant for salary column. Okay, now same for check constant, what we need to do, check, check, alter table, table, then table name, employees table, add, add constant, add constant, then check ck, we will write the prefix ck underscore table name, employees, then underscore which column, employee salary. We will copy from here, employee salary, we are applying the check constant. So by this all your constant queries will be clear. Okay, so ck underscore employees underscore the column name on which we are we want to apply the check constant, then check, and then which type of constant, check constant, then what we want to check, so check if employee salary should be greater than, greater equal to 10,000, 10,000. I think we need to put it in parenthesis, this condition also, and then check this for which column, for employee salary column, or 4 is not required. So I think this one is not required. Check employee salary should be greater than this. So alter table, table name, add constant, then the constant name, check constant, then check, and then the condition. Okay, now execute this. So it is working fine. Okay, now last we have the foreign key constant, foreign key constant on department id column, which is referencing the id column from the departments table. So now write foreign key, foreign key. So again, alter table, table name, employees, employees, add constant, constant. So for foreign key we have fk as the prefix, then table name, employees underscore department id. Okay, alter table, table, alter table, table name, add constant, foreign key constant on which column, on department id column, references, references, department table, department table, id column, id column. So here we need to mention the constant name. So alter table, table name, add constant, then constant name, foreign key constant, foreign, foreign key on department id column, foreign key on, we don't need to mention foreign key, then column name, foreign key on which column you want to mention, in parenthesis you need to mention the column name, and then references, which table and column it is referencing. So references, departments table, id column. Now execute this, execute, foreign key fk references invalid table department. So department, I think spelling is wrong, depart, department. Okay, now execute this. So all the constants are created. Now how we will check this? Now when we go to that database development DB, expand this, then we have the table, and then we will go to employee table, right click here, and then go to script table as, then create to, and then new query editor window. So here we will check all the constants created. Okay, so all the columns we have employee, employee ID, and employee name and all. So here you can see constant pk employee's email ID, primary key is the primary key, which is employee ID, then unique uk employee email ID, then this emp email ID is our unique constant, and then here we have at down we have the df employee joining date default constant, get date for this, and then here we have our which one foreign key constant fk employee department id, foreign key department id references this particular table, and then alter, then we have the check constant, so it is checking for fk employee, no, not this one, this one. So here we have the check with check add constant ck employee salary, so it is checking employee salary should be greater or equal to 10,000. Okay, and at the end, so all are clear. Okay, and not null it is already providing here, see, primary key it is providing not null, and email name not null. Okay, so I think every constant is clear to everyone, and thank you for watching, and many more videos are on the way. And also, as I have mentioned in our previous videos also, a master series on SQL Server is going to come once our channel will reach the milestone of 500 subscribers. So that means lot and lot of people will benefit from the course. That's why we are waiting for people. So do like, share, subscribe, and comment in more and more amount, so that people will know that a new batch for that SQL Server tutorial is going to open very soon. And thank you for watching. Thank you everyone. And if you need any help, I already mentioned, you can contact to our number. We will check with you. Thank you everyone.